Hello, everyone, and welcome to our interview with Silvia Bicenco, MUSKIE Alumna and founder of Ezzy Link. Hello, Mrs. Bicenco.
Good afternoon, Margareta. Hello, everyone. I hope we have a crowd behind the screen. Very nice seeing you.
We surely do. Mrs. Bicenco, today we will discuss with you about kindness, compassion, and the humanitarian aid toward our neighbor country. Your organization is involved in providing help for Ukrainian refugees, but let's start with finding something more about you. Could you present yourself and tell us a little bit about your main activity?
Of course. Well, thank you so much, Margareta, for having me here. My name is Silvia Bicenco, as you mentioned, and yes, I am alumna of the MUSKIE Fellowship of 2005-2007. It still seems like it was yesterday, but if I think deeper, it's almost, 15 years ago. Wow. I graduated in 2007 from the nonprofit management faculty with the master degree in nonprofit management from the New School University of Management and Urban Policy from New York City. So again, it was long ago, apparently, but it seems just like yesterday. So I'm a professional of the nonprofit.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about Ezzy Link. So you founded it recently, and at what moment did you come up with the idea of Ezzy Link?
Actually, very good question, Margareta. I have such a vast experience in nonprofit. Basically, I am with this domain from the very beginning when it started its development in Moldova. And for decades now, I have been working for a number of NGOs, be it at the national scale or international scale. But I never run my own NGO. For the last 4 years, for example, I was the country director of an international Czech NGO named People in Need. And closer to the end of last year, I decided that it's probably the time to finally create something mine. My husband has been always telling me, like for years, that, you've been putting a lot of effort and energy and all of your knowledge and skills, to some other entities. Why wouldn't you start building something on your own? And but I was always so busy running left and right, and it was no time to even think about that properly. And as mentioned, right at the end of last year, I decided, okay, that's probably the time to go on my own. And I've established my first NGO ever in my experience of my own with a group of very close friends of mine. We just funded this Ezzy Link NGO with the meaning, of helping those that definitely seeks and needs the help of ours. But of course, I could never imagine that the first activities of my little NGO will be totally connected to the Ukrainian refugees. And that's basically my life lately. I do work with refugees, for refugees, and trying to help these people as much as possible.
So your organization was founded before the conflict in Ukraine. So what was its mission, its initial mission?
Well, as I said, social call, again, because I've been working with a number of international NGOs previously in different areas, you name it. I started my career with the Contact Center, which is well known as a resource center for nonprofit. I was the first director of the Southern branch in Kabul from 1997 to 2000. And then, so the mission of that organization was, as I said, basically establishing nonprofits in our country. Then I moved to Peace Corps. I used to run the portfolio of economic and organizational development for almost 6 years with Peace Corps Moldova. And the volunteers, Peace Corps volunteers that were assigned to my project were usually serving with nonprofit organizations throughout the country or mayoralty offices. Then, you know, I used to work in a number of projects funded by USAID, UNDP, and again, different areas of development. But only through my last 4 years working as a country director of People in Need Moldova, you know, I understood probably the compassion for others, as you mentioned in the very beginning, is something that appeals to me, has this interior call for, and I decided to establish my own NGO that would help me to help others, you know, be it, I don't know, vulnerable families, elderly, people with disability, you name it, you know. But as I said, who could ever imagine that the very first activities of my NGO will be connected to the war or to helping people fleeing out of the war into our country. But, you know, life is life. And I guess whatever the call is, wherever the need is, you know, I'm just ready to jump along with my friends and continuously helping others.
Was it difficult to adapt the organization's mission from your initial target to the Ukrainian conflict and to giving help to Ukrainian refugees? Or was it something natural? Was it?
It was totally natural, you know. It was, I would even say it was at the level of the instincts, you know, because, you know, again, I remember the war started on a Thursday, and the very first Saturday, meaning 3 days later, I got a call from a friend of mine inviting me to the crossing point at Palanca, you know, just to see what's happening and how we can help these people. So I just, you know, without thinking, I just went with this group of friends to the border with Ukraine, and right there immediately, you know, the first needs were identified, because back then Ukrainian refugees were fleeing into Moldova like in thousands, and poor people were staying, and it was very cold, if you remember yet, you know, and the people were standing in line on the Ukrainian side yet for hours. So as soon as they were crossing the border, they immediately were seeking for some hot meals, you know, because they've been maybe not starving, because they could have some snacks with them. I'm imagining, though they also were running from war, so who would think about cookies, you know, to be thrown into the car or anything like that. But because it was cold, everyone was asking for some soup. Or I remember somebody brought hot placenta, you know, and this placenta disappeared like within minutes. And we understood that hot meals are in huge demand. And that was the very first thing that we tried to help the refugees with.
What other main activities or campaigns have you organized in order to provide help to Ukrainian refugees?
Well, again, you know, hot meals in huge demand back then. I understood it immediately, but I didn't have money, obviously, to feed those people with hot lunches. And, you know, the world is full, actually, of good people. Unfortunately, we run throughout life into all kinds of people, but there are plenty of good people that we have to rely on. And I actually got a call from a friend of mine who is connected to the Rotary Club, Rotary International here in Chisinau. It's very, very international. I wouldn't say it's American or German or Dutch. There are people of all kinds of nationalities attending this club here in Chisinau, and they immediately offered me 3,000 euro. That was the very first donation offered to Ezzy Link. And through my internal connections with a number of smaller local NGOs, I've identified a couple of NGOs that have social enterprises of with catering services, such as AREAP in Jedinec, for instance, or AFA, Asociația Femeilor de Afaceri în Belts. Both of these organizations are running, as I mentioned, catering service, which is a social enterprise. And I just immediately ordered, trucks of food products that were delivered to both of these sites. And those ladies, Alina Reshetnikov and Tatiana Puga, will do little promotion for those girls too, because they've been very helpful and very active in terms of helping refugees. So they cooked hundreds and hundreds of hot meals with these products that we donated through the financial support of Rotary International Club from Chisinau. And then the demands were changing from week to week. At some point, hot lunches were not that needed any longer. And we switched into, but these local volunteers and local NGOs helping refugees desperately needed fuel, for instance, because they were using their personal vehicles, tracking refugees entering from the Ukraine side and going immediately into Romanian border, continue their run, so to say, into the European countries. And there was a big demand in fuel. The costs for fuel and anything else in our country were jumping tremendously on a daily basis, if you remember, at the beginning of March. So we've got some money to help these local volunteers and NGOs with the fuel cost coverage. And then later on, we managed to get more funding and more donations, both from Rotary and from some friends of mine and family in the United States. These are personal donations that were coming into our account, and friends and family from Moldova just as well. And we switched to the vouchers, for instance, that we hooked up ourselves to Linela and got a bunch of vouchers that were distributed to the refugee families, because later on, most of them were settled in the host families, in the refugee centers, and they were provided hot meals. Hot meals were not needed, but those people might have be in need of, I don't know, toothpaste or female hygiene products or things like that. And having a voucher with an amount behind, helps them to buy whatever they need actually from that store. And we did the same thing with Felicia Pharmacy, got some vouchers for medicine also for them to be used, for some health matters, because there were, as we know, mostly the main number of refugees coming into Moldova are women with children. And especially after standing in lines at the border for hours, those children were getting cold, all kinds of illness, and they were seeking for some medicine, which is also expensive, So we tried to help them with covering their needs at the pharmaceutical options here in Moldova, and so on and so forth. We've been trying to be very attentive to the shift of the needs of these refugees and trying to adapt our assistance as much as we can.
Yeah, it's impressive how you managed to adapt this fast to the needs they had. And what is the activity or what service do you provide now at this stage in the conflict?
Writing proposals, still small ones, because, in times as such, I'm not thinking about profit, or there's no way I can ask for some salary. These are personal donations coming from all over the world. So whatever's donated immediately is being used, to help the others. For that matter, I have to work full-time someplace else to make my salary, to make the living on my own, because the NGO doesn't bring any profit nowadays. I mean, at such times, because again, we are helping others. However, the proposal that I just submitted recently is going to help some refugees. It's actually a regional effort that we are trying to implement for the center of Moldova. Some refugees being placed in this so-called summer camp in Vadului Vode. It's called Bratulețu. They are hosting 200 refugees from the very beginning of the conflict. About 60 people out of these 200 are children that have no occupation there. You know, it's warmer already outside. Yes, they can go out, but there is nothing there. You know, they don't have any outdoor equipment, any sports equipment. So for that matter, we just submitted a proposal to the British Chamber in Moldova to get some outdoor equipment and sports equipment for these children placed in Vadului Vode, as well as numerous refugees placed in the district of Aușeni. You know, I'm collaborating with this ADDI association, which stands for Association of Integrated Sustainable Development in Aușeni, and they're also being very, very helpful to the refugees placed in Aușeni. And obviously, Aușeni and Ștefănpode are the most. They have the largest number of refugees because they are so close to Palanca and Tudora. You know, they are two crossing points of the border with Ukraine. So there will be as well lots of sports and outdoor equipment such as bicycles, all kinds of balls, you name it, basketball, football, soccer ball, volleyball, nets for these exercises, some trampolinas, you know, for them to be active outside, as well as we will offer them some psychological sessions, not psychological, but like stress relief through arts. We found a wonderful woman who is having this arts classes for these kids, you know, and she's using all kinds of, you know, gentle instruments, so little jingles, all kinds of bells, you know, that they, I don't know, exercise with, and supposedly the trauma and the stress is getting released through these exercises. And we're also planning to provide some English classes for them and some Romanian classes as well, you know, because once they are in Moldova for quite some time, you know, some of them actually are very happy to start practicing Romanian.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if it's still the case, but Moldova at the beginning of the crisis has hosted the most refugees per capita than any other country in the world. So I'm not sure if it's still the case, but why do you think it's important for the Moldovan people, even if we are still vulnerable as a people, why we should show compassion and be supportive of the Ukrainian refugees who are staying in our country?
Margareta, you know, I would even say that this is important for us to show the compassion, or that we should show it. I think it's literally coming so naturally out of our people. I'm generalizing Moldovans, of course, but and maybe this is not the case, but I don't think, just like myself, you asked me like how I decided. I didn't decide, you know, I just went to the border and it was clear, you know, I need to do something to help these people. And I am sure thousands and thousands of Moldovan families, just by instinct, you know, open their houses, open their gates, and, you know, got all of these people in, went, I mean, later on, they probably got huge utility bills, you know, and they that they didn't expect, you know, because everyone was thinking, okay, it's just for a week or maybe two, but unfortunately, it's the end is not seen, and you know, a different demand is coming up now. We are trying to help Moldovan families that are hosting refugees as well, because they have their needs and their demands as well. But as I said, I don't think it is important for us to show the compassion. The compassion is there. It's just a matter of having an occasion to let it go.
So is there a possibility for our audience to show support, to volunteer maybe their time, energy, or even donate to join to Ezzy Link? Is there such possibility?
Oh, thank you for the question, Margareta. I would love some help in terms of, as I mentioned, we've submitted this proposal and obviously expect some funds to come in, and we would need some help in terms of Romanian classes, English classes, some, I don't know, these outdoor activities with kids, say at Vadului Vode, that camp, because we will bring all of these materials, all of this equipment, but it would be wonderful if someone would come, or I don't know, a group of young Moldovan volunteers to play with those kids, soccer or volleyball, or you name it. So definitely, whoever is interested, you guys, I would definitely welcome your help and support in this regard.
Where should they call or write, or where can they find your contacts, or maybe some can we place your, if you have a website, maybe we should place it in the comments later.
I do have a website. It's actually under the construction. Somebody, a British guy, is helping me to set it up for free, actually. As I said, the world is full of great people that somehow, just unite in occasions as such. I won't be able to give you the link to the website yet, because I'm not sure it's functioning properly. I see what I see, but I don't think it's accessible to the public yet. But I'm quite active on Facebook, not quite active, but at least once a day, I definitely stop by. So Silvia Bicenco, I'm on Facebook, or Ezzy Link MD, just as well, so look for us there.
Okay, thank you very much, Silvia. I guess people can contact you directly and ask how they can contribute to alleviating the crisis that is happening in the neighbor country. Do you have some plans, maybe after the conflict ends, hopefully? Do you have in mind some plans for Ezzy Link to continue its mission? What is your vision for your future, for the future of the organization?
Mm-hmm. Well, as I said previously, Ezzy Link is meant to be helping people that are seeking our help, meaning all kinds of social activities in the future. But anything else at the moment, because I'm so busy with the activities that are happening for now. And as I said, even if the war stops, God willing, I hope it does very, very soon, there will be still lots of refugees in our country that, are trying I don't know, to settle down and maybe to have a life here. There will be lots of host families that, as I said, have their own demands that definitely will be seeking for some external assistance as well. So I think we're going to be busy regardless, God willing, let the war stop. Of course, we pray for that every day, but I'm sure we will be busy for a longer period of time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bicenco, for being the person who our society needs and even humanity needs in these times, difficult times. Thank you for accepting to share your experience with creating Ezzy Links, with the campaigns and activities and services you provide to the Ukrainian refugees. Thank you for what you're doing. It's very appreciated, and I'm sure people are very grateful for what you are doing. Dear audience, thank you for watching this live session. If you liked it, subscribe to our Facebook page and Instagram page. You can find there more information about our programs and events. Thank you, Mrs. Bicenco, for being with us, and I wish you everyone an amazing evening.
Thanks a lot, Margareta. And please allow me to thank all the people that are supporting me, supporting my organization, our little actions here and there, the Rotary Club International from Chisinau, a bunch of friends of mine that are next to me constantly, my cousins, both here in Moldova and in the States, and many, many friends with huge hearts that are just here for us and that are helping us to help the others. Thank you. And more help is always welcome. So you guys, whoever is watching, if you are willing to get your shoulder or hand to us, we're here. Thank you.
Thank you.